A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for Thawwab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our program Learn Arabic. So far we discussed how can we produce and pronounce the sound tha. But I think also it's very important here to mention that when it comes to the writing system for writing the sound tha, I think that we have to learn more about the different positions for connecting this letter with the following ones. Well, I think that is probably this is what we start today is the different forms of tha when it comes to the initial position, when it comes in the medial position or final position. I think that in the last episode we discussed how can we combine tha with the following one. Let me just show that again to you. Here is that, as we discussed before, that we make a small hook here, and then we go straight the line, and then we put 3 dots here. That is probably the best form for writing tha when it comes in the initial position.
Yeah.
And that's why this sound, this letter is described as a connected letter when it comes in initial position. Okay. So, do you have any comment about that?
What's
Yep.
what's like non-connected letter?
Well, here, I can tell you here, Muhammad. Tha sometimes, as we can see after that, when it comes, for example, in the final position, we can say buhuth. Buhuth. Well, this is probably when it comes in the final position.
Yeah.
And here you can find that tha is disconnected with from the previous letters. Can you see that?
Yeah.
But here in the initial position, we write thalab in this way, and tha here is not disconnected like this one. Can you see that? There is a difference here between here and that. So this is when it comes in initial position.
But I think it is not all the time it is disconnected in the final position.
Exactly, Mahmoud. Sometimes it's
is it
connected.
because of vowel is disconnected, or it just has to be disconnected?
Well, when it comes in the final position, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes connected, sometimes it comes disconnected.
Yes.
And then here we have, when it comes, first of all, in the initial position, I think it must be connected. We don't have, I don't think that there is a word in Arabic that starts with tha which is disconnected.
Yes.
Right. So most of them actually should be combined or connected with the following letters. Now, in the medial position,
Yeah,
connected.
Please, Ahmed.
Yeah, Bassam.
Here in the final position,
Yep.
or in the first position here, we don't have choice. We are compelled or propelled not to leave a space between the first sound or the first letter and the second.
Right.
But in the word for buhuth,
Oh.
we have to be careful of the space between the waw and the tha, not to be
Exactly,
a great
Osama.
space, because
Well,
this change.
I think that this is very important. I mean, Osama here actually raised very, very interesting points about how long should we make this connection between the final letter with regarding to the previous letters. Let me just explain that in detail. Like, for example, here that when it comes buhuth, for example, here is it. So I think that Osama's question now is that should I put, for example, the tha here, and it's also disconnected from the previous letters.
Yeah.
Can you see that? But here we have long distance. That's not correct in Arabic. Right. I mean, you shouldn't actually make a long
No space between the...
Right. Well, you should probably, Mahmoud, you should make here a very, very short space between tha and the previous one. Can you see that? Here again, once again. So I would write that in this way.
I think, Ahmed, some people say that we leave a space for a single letter.
Exactly. It could be something like
single
that.
letter.
Just the space for writing one letter. That probably could be the limited space that is allowed for writing the disconnected tha when it comes in the final position. But how about when it comes in the medial position? Can you see that? In the medial position, here we have, for example, athar, which means in English monuments. So let me
Monuments.
just repeat it again. Here is it. In athar, you can find here that is the letter is coming in the medial position. Here is it. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So probably could be close to the form of writing tha when it comes in initial position. Because here is that when it comes in initial position, salab. So here we have tha.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
Yes.
And when it comes in the medial position, also we have another tha here connected with a. Of course, a is another different letter, but my focus on tha here.
Yes, we studied it.
Yep,
I mean,
that's right.
I mean, the first part of the site is just has to come in, and it starts at the back or front or middle, where we join. If you're joining the word, if you're not joining the word, the first line and then the follow on will come.
Right, exactly. I think that's right. I mean, don't connect, for example, when it comes, let me just give you an example here. When it comes for buhuth, when I write that in the final position, here is it, buhuth. So can you see that? So tha here is coming in the final position. Please don't connect this letter with the following one.
Yeah.
Because in this way, you are combining the words together, and that's wrong in Arabic. You have actually to just make a space between one word and another word, and so on. Yep. Okay.
Should you leave a space between two words?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, probably the.
What's the amount?
Well, I think that it would be just one. The space of one letter could be the limited space between two words. Like for example, when I write thalab and buhuth, or something like Ahmad Talib, which means that Ahmed is a student, something like that. So this is one word. This is another word. The space between both, just the space of one letter.
Yes. The same applies in English or in other languages.
Exactly.
But at the same distance, the same space in English and Arabic are equal?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Mahmoud. I mean, it depends on the machine that you are using for writing, whether it's a computer or typewriter.
set the space.
Right, it's a
Yeah.
very
Come
single
with a
space.
set space.
Right, it's called single space, right. I don't know how long is it when it comes to the centimeters, something like that, but it's just one space that disconnects the word from another word.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's get back again here to our thought. So when we write that, when it comes in the middle position, we have tha connected with the following one. When it comes in the initial position, it's also connected with the following one. When it comes in the final position, sometimes it comes disconnected as buhuth, and sometimes it comes connected like bahth.
Bahth.
Let me just write that here. And in bahth, actually, you can find that it's probably bahth, which means in English research, and buhuth is the plural form for the word research. So here is my point.
So I have a question here,
Yeah, Bah,
please.
go ahead.
Is there a rule that govern the status of being connected or disconnected in the final position for
Well, not for all the letters in Arabic. It depends on every letter, and every letter probably is different from all the letters. So I don't think that we have a standard rule for that. I mean, you can say, for example, that for ta, it always comes connected, but tha comes disconnected. Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, every letter has his own rules for writing. And that's why we are explaining in detail how can we write the letters in Arabic in order to explain how it is written in Arabic, because every letter has its own rules. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's get back again here to the word bahth. Here is it. Okay. Okay. And here we have ba.
Yeah.
Here is it. Small hook with dot. So here is it. This is tha.
Yeah.
This is my point. So it comes here in the final position, connected with the
Connected.
previous one.
Yeah.
But we have another word, which is buhuth. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So here,
It is disconnected.
exactly. Can you see that?
Is it maybe it's disconnected because of the vowels in the end, and you cannot really connect vowel to the tha.
Well, I think the vowels probably are not connected here in this way. I mean, what we have here is we don't have here in the final position, especially for tha, we don't have any vowel at all. So we say buhuth and we say bahth. We probably don't have vowel, but When it comes to the connection, I think the consonants probably are stronger in connection with each other.
Yeah.
And that's why today you can find, for example, for buhuth, is disconnected here,
Yes.
and it takes the form of tha in this way. And here also comes sometimes connected when it comes in the final position, so sometimes comes connected, sometimes disconnected.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Khalid.
Could you join like ba and putting it on top of ha?
Exactly. I think that it looks like ba in certain ways, but
Yes, yes.
again, that the only distinction between ba and tha is that the dots, how many dots do we have in tha? Three, but in ba we have just one dot.
Just one dot.
And also, when it comes to the position of the dots, in tha we put the three dots above the letter, but in ba we put that below the dots. Yep. Any question? Okay.
Wow.
Now I can tell you here that is tha comes in the initial position, final position, and medial position.
position, yeah.
When it comes in the initial position, it comes all this connected. When it comes in the medial position, also connected. When it comes in the final position, sometimes connected, sometimes disconnected. Here is actually the conclusion for ba and ta and tha. So the three new consonants represent the next three letters in the alphabet after tha, ba, ta. All of them share the same skeletal shape, and they are distinguished by the number and the position of the dots. I think that's right. So we have, for example, ba one dot, we have in ta two dots, in tha we have three dots. So these three letters have the same basic shapes, but they are distinguished by their dots. I think that's right. So if you just have a look at them again.
Yeah.
And by their pronunciation.
Exactly, Sam, exactly. I think Mahmoud here is that they are distinguished not only by the dots, but also by their pronunciation, of course.
Here.
Yep, here is that. So this is, I would say that this is for bam,
Yeah.
and this is for tab, and this is for tab. So probably I might ask you now, just on your scratch paper, if you can write the three letters again, ba and ta and tha. Okay. Here is the ba with one dot, ta with two dots, tha with three dots. Okay. Can you write that? Okay. Just ba with one dot, ta with two dots, and tha with three dots. But again, remember that in ba we have one dot below the letter, and in ta we have two dots
Yeah.
above the letter, and in tha we have three dots above the letter. Can I see something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
See? Like that?
I see. Okay. Yep. That's right, Osama.
Okay.
Um,
I think it's very easy now to me to distinguish between them.
well, that's right. Okay, Mahmoud, can I see something like that? Yep. That is absolutely wonderful. Right. Okay, Mohammed.
Mine's slightly not.
Well, don't worry about that. Well, that's okay. Ban, tan, tha. Well, I like that. Okay. So, anyway, so what we have now is that we already now discussed alif, ba, ta, tha. And we're going to move on here to the fifth letter, which is G. Well, first of all, do you have any question about ba, ta, tha, or alif before moving on to G?
No.
I think it's clear, inshallah.
It's clear. Okay.
Yeah.
The letter G has three different pronunciations that vary to the region in the Arab world. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, it's probably something that we discussed before. I think that we talked before about the dialects in Arabic and the dialects in English.
And the cultures, different cultures. now.
Exactly, Usam. I think that is true. And sometimes also, here is something could be very important. Sometimes the dialect probably not only reflects your cultural background, but also reflects where are you from, and reflects also your level of education, your level of culture, and a lot. And I still remember that those who probably speaks English from Texas could be different from those who speaks English in the north, in New York, for example.
Yeah.
Sometimes I found a lot of difficulty in understanding the Texan English or English of Texas State in the United States. I think that also can be found in Arabic. I mean, in Arabic you can also find that there are a lot of letters that can be pronounced in different ways.
Ahmed, I got from you what you are saying now, that a sense of discrimination between people due to the different pronunciation of the letters?
I don't think so, Osama. In this way, actually, I would tell you here.
It represents, you say, it represents the different cultures, different the background, where you're coming from. So Is that right?
I think that's, Sam, a very important question. Do you know why? Because some people here probably say, which one is more important, vowels or consonants?
I think I would disagree with my colleague.
Okay, so tell me your opinion, please, Mohammed.
It's not discriminating. It's just, you know, defining your culture.
Exactly.
Defining your culture. Maybe, for example, in Egypt, they speak slightly different English to Moroccan.
Okay.
It defines how Egyptians are and what their culture is.
Yep.
So it's just showing what culture you're from. It's not discriminating you. It's only used to see the difference between discriminating them. So
Exactly.
I disagree with them totally.
Okay, so I think that is my opinion here, that when it comes to the dialects, I think that is, Sam's question here probably pushes another question, which is, which one is more important, consonants or vowels? And if we have a change in vowels, does that mean that probably we may be misunderstood? Or probably some people may not understand me well because I have different vowels? I would say that probably the different dialects is coming out from the differences in vowels, but not in consonants. And that's why if you can find that there's a change in producing a consonant in different way, probably you can change the meaning. Like, for example, for jim, if you pronounce it as kha or ba or ta, you change the letter from one form to another form. And this way you are completely changing the meaning. But how about, for example, if you can pronounce a like ah, so rather than saying walid, you say walid, I think probably could be understood. Yeah, that's right, that's right. Something like jim, for example. So I think that we can discuss more about that, but after having a break, we're going to have a break, and after that we will continue discussing the Arabic alphabets.
Inshallah, on the straight path, we would like to discuss the niqab from an Islamic and social political perspective.
So sometimes some non-Muslims, they might not understand the full Islamic pictures. Anyone can say anything about it.
Yes.
So when can we, who speaks for Islam? This is the biggest question. Who speaks for Islam? No, they are not sinning. They are not sinning, but we are talking about now the general ruling. They are not sinning, but they are going against what has been established. It is his own ijtihad at a specific time.
People would see it as
threat.
A threat.
Exactly.
How do we explain to them it's not really a threat? It's actually good for the country as well. But if we don't participate, how would we ever reach to our rights? Can you clarify with us what should be the level of political participation of the Muslims in the West?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the second part of our program, Learn Arabic. I think that we were talking more about the dialects and the vowels and consonants, and I think that is, I agree with all of you, by the way, that is probably when you can find that there are differences in vowels that reflects your dialect. But when it comes to the, any changing probably in the consonants, that means that you are changing the meaning of any word. And that is what you can find in jim, for example. I think, Osama, you have a comment. You told me you have a comment during the break. Yep.
My comment is about the pronunciation of the word jim.
Okay.
We have two dialects here.
Yep.
Okay. Or the most dialects that are or the familiar dialects here in Egypt, we have the Upper Egyptian dialect, and we have Lower Egypt or Lower Egyptian or the Korean.
That is in Egypt, right?
That is in Egypt. I'm speaking about Egypt here.
Okay.
So, but also we do have some overlap or confusion. Even in the Korean language here, we have some. For example, I say ja'a. This is Upper Egyptian. People say ja'a, but in Arabic ga'a. Okay.
I see.
Even here in the Korean language, also we have some words that are spoken the same way in the Upper Egyptian.
Okay.
For example, we may say that, give me the agenda.
Agenda.
Yeah, we say agenda, not agenda.
Not
here
agenda,
in Korean. Okay. We say, for example, jacket. We say jacket.
Right.
But I think that this has to do to the transcription, or because these are foreign language.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Foreign words. They are foreign language or borrowing.
Okay.
So the word jacket is borrowed from English.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So I want to know more about that.
I think that is, you are absolutely correct about this point, Sam. I think you can find variations when it comes to pronouncing vowels, and also when it comes to pronouncing consonants, especially in the Arabic language. But I think also that I have another comment here from Mahmoud. Please go ahead.
Yes, concerning the word agenda and the word jacket, I think they are, as he said, they are taken from foreign language.
Exactly.
They are not Arabic. Origin, from Arabic origin.
Right.
This is why we pronounce it as we take it from the foreign language.
But this takes
Makes
us to
sense.
another issue, which is a transcription and a borrowing between languages. Okay,
I see your point. Well, I think that in order to just make a solution for such a disagreement, I would say that is, in Arabic generally, you can find a lot of consonants that probably could be pronounced, which is sometimes like for jim, which is called jim mu'attasha. In such a way, probably could be sometimes pronounced as, rather than jim, or ja, sometimes it's pronounced like ga. And I think that the difference here between ga and ja, when it comes on the phonetic level, they are different, because ja is a fricative, but ga is fricative. But when it comes to the cultural level, I think it's also different, because when you say, for example, here in Egypt, if you say ja'a or jama'a, so that means that you are explaining more about your cultural background, something that is probably, I don't know whether this can be found in English also. You can find ta can be pronounced in a different way, or ka can be pronounced in a different way. I don't know, but I think that is, let's now get again here to ja, which is the letter jim. Well, this is probably the name of the letter, as it's before. It's not the pronunciation. When I pronounce it, I say ja. But when I say this alphabet is jim. Yep.
By the way, I used to live in Saudi Arabia for 2 years, and when I come to say yeah, they say to me, you pronounce ka.
Ka, right.
Yes, you pronounce ka, not ga.
Well, this is very interesting. Can you see that? That is because he pronounced it in a different way in the society. That's why people sometimes misunderstand you. And that actually pushes me to say that probably if you pronounce the consonants in a different way, then you probably may have different meanings. That's right.
It could be also when you pronounce ga, I could be thinking maybe speaking in different language, maybe speaking Urdu or Hindi.
In Urdu,
or
right.
Maybe Hindi, because we have this letter ga.
Right.
And so if you pronounce it instead of G, pronounce cha, you have this also this letter as well as addition. So maybe thinking speaking a different language. There will always be confusion on your conversation.
I see. Now let's get back again here to our letter Jim, and that
Ahmed,
is
in spite or even so of these differences between the Afro-Egyptian and the Korean, we do have a common ground.
Right.
And this is the table of the ever-glorious Quran.
Exactly.
When we all sit down to or begin to recite the ever-glorious Quran, we all pronounce it Jim.
So your bottom line is our source should be Holy Quran.
That's
your point.
The classical Arabic. We all agree on this. We have the ability also to speak colloquial Arabic and also the standard Arabic, or the language of the ever-glorious Quran.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's because our Arabic language is taken from the Quran.
Exactly.
And even the rules are adapted to the Quran.
So the differences, and there is a common ground.
Exactly. I think that's right.
I totally agree with him, because if you speak the classic Arabic, I think it's easier when people come from different part of Arabic world, they can understand you. Maybe when you're speaking to your locals, then you can speak in your own side of Arabic.
Right.
Which is kind of alright, because everyone understands what they're speaking about.
Right. And I think that is, I would say here that is your golden key for learning Arabic is just to speak standard Arabic language. Do you know why? Because, for example, if you speak Egyptian and if you go to Morocco or to go to Tunisia or probably Algeria, people sometimes may not understand you very well. Or probably also you may not understand. But if you make a conversation in standard Arabic level, I think that you will be completely understood. I think so. Yep.
But just I'd like to confirm a point.
Yep.
Which is ga is a part of Arabic language, is a letter in Arabic language or not?
Well, actually, ga. Well, I think yes, it's an Arabic alphabet.
Because some people told me it is a kind of qira'ah, or a way of recitation of the Quran.
Right. Okay.
And in some ways of recitation of the Quran, there is ga. You can say ga. Well, one of the tribes of the Arab tribes used to pronounce ja as ga.
Oh,
Right,
wow, this
right.
is the first time.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm not sure if
Heard
this
it
is
first
correct
time.
or
So the first
I
time.
think it's J instead of Ga.
Yeah,
It's J.
So you want to say that the original form is ja or ga?
yes, you can use both interchangeable.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
this-
When you-
first
We have disagreement here, Mahmoud. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yes,
Okay.
I totally disagree with Mahmoud.
Okay. We're gonna
I'm
listen
not
to you.
sure.
Sam.
I said I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if this
okay.
is correct or
I
not.
think
Well-
Yeah.
what you're trying to say, right? Like, it's instead of Ga is J.
J.
Like
right.
we say, what Duhay is probably what Sajay. Ida Sajay.
So
Thing
J.
is probably in the different verse recitation is probably like that. But I've never heard gay. I think that's in only in Urdu.
Osama?
Yes, Ahmed, I know that there are many different recitations or readings of the Evergreen Quran. Even the weird one, I don't hear about this variation. While reciting the Evergreen Quran, you say جاء لقد جاءكم رسول. I say don't agree with that.
Yes, even me, I never heard it. I never heard it before, but just I'm asking to make sure if it's correct
Right.
or not.
In English, we do have ga and ja,
Exactly.
and even in ja, it is very different from the upper Egyptian or from the jim mu'attasha.
Right.
It is very different. We have, like for judge, we say there is a DG, okay, judge.
Yep.
So we have a D, so we have a D in pronouncing the word judge. So it is very totally different from our Arabic G.
I see. I see. I think that's true. Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Now let's get to the slides here, and it says the letter Jim has 3 different pronunciations that vary to the region in the Arab world. I think that's probably could be the breakthrough for disagreement today. So here, different forms for such a letter. In the Gulf countries, it is pronounced like J in bridge. Right. And in much of the North Africa, it's pronounced like J in pleasure. Can you see that?
Pleasure.
And also, in some other countries, it's pronounced like ga in gay. I think that's very interesting. So now,
Just one question. The place of articulations here between ja and j and different?
Oh yeah, of course, the place of articulation when it comes to, I think when it comes to ja, and I think when it comes to ja, here we can find that there is here top of the airstream, and then there's this, the airstream is released out from the mouth. So we have here this sound ja described as the fricative. When it comes to, I think when it comes to j and ga probably, well, ga is the stop sound, but j is not sound. It is actually a fricative sound.
So what is the standard in Arabic? Because this is a problem when I read the Quran. Some people, when I say ja, they told me tell me you are wrong. The correct is ja, and I couldn't distinguish between ja and ja.
I think that is. I'm sorry for that, but I have to finish now because our time is coming up. But we're gonna discuss more about that in the following episodes, my dear viewers. I think we are coming now to the conclusion of our episodes. This is Ahmad Abdel Tawwab Sharaf Eldin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
A is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for Thawwab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatam, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.